Hello, everybody. So it's sacrament season. So we kind of already knew this, right? We went through the sacraments of Easter. At the Easter Vigil, we had 33 people come into the church, both young and adult. And it was an amazing evening. And that just kicks things off. Okay, so this weekend is First Communion. And we're going to see all of our young ones making their first communion, receiving Jesus for the first time. And so we know in their young lives, they have made their first confession, they will make their first Eucharist, and they will be partially initiated in the church. So sacraments work. And, I think sometimes when we use those lofty words, sacrament, um, we turn off a little bit. It's like, oh, yeah, that's church stuff. No. So let me remind us that sacraments is what make you and I connected to Jesus Christ. The first sacrament is baptism. We don't ever skip that. That's the way in. We call it an entry sacrament because it allows us to enter into a relationship with Jesus Christ. From there, when we do things the normal way, kids are formed in the faith and make their first communion roughly at the age of 7 or 8, second grade. And in this archdiocese, the third sacrament of initiation is made around middle school-ish. If you come in as an adult, however, you make all three. And at Easter, left that little part out, but you make all three at Easter. And if you're a young person coming into the church at Easter, most will make all three as well. If they're very young, parents might decide to wait on confirmation, but the way of the church is to complete them all. So why do I say any of this? Sacraments matter. What do sacraments give us? Sacraments give us God's grace. So I had somebody come up to me at the end of the Easter Vigil, and not a great time to encourage me to have a deep conversation because we were surrounded by people. I'm usually in the choir, so I'm up there and I have all the choir people and I have all of the people that just made their sacraments and their families, and everybody's kind of bustling around. And a woman came up to me and said, I'm Lutheran. I need to know, what do Catholics believe about sacraments? So all I could give her in that chaos was a pat answer. So you know what a pat answer is. It's something that answers the question partially and doesn't do a good, what would I say, doesn't do service to the question you were being asked. Again, not a great time to ask. So I mentioned to her, give me a call in the office. Happy to give you a better answer than this. So what was my pat answer? A sacrament is God's invisible grace. See, I can't even come up with it. So a sacrament, let me give you a better answer. Sacrament is something instituted by God, by Christ, to give grace. I mean, that's a pat answer. And again, does it tell us anything? No, not really. I mean, it tells us that it came from Christ and it tells us that it gives us grace, but so what? So let me tell you the so what. The so what is this: sacraments work. I can't tell you how many times I have met people in OCIA who were baptized as babies in the Catholic Church. raised with no faith at all, and suddenly felt the desire to know more about faith and ended up in OCIA. Some without any knowledge that they were baptized as children. Sacraments work. I can testify to people who have spent a lifetime away from the church, and when it matters, they come back. We talk about sacraments being efficacious. So let me tell you what efficacious is. I can't even say it. Efficacious is. Efficacious comes from the word effective. So sacraments are effective. They work. They do what they say they're supposed to do. And we trust that. So baptism, we know what baptism does. It marks us as a Christian. It marks us with a character that will be with us for the rest of our lives. And in marking us, it cleanses us and connects us to Jesus himself. We are baptized into Christ's death, as we hear in our epistle at the Easter Vigil. And for the rest of our life, can't even say it, baptism is with us. How amazing is that? So again, the efficaciousness of our baptism pulls us all the way through our lives and eventually leads us, if we allow it to heaven. Then we are given the gift of confirmation, which just seals what was done at baptism. And again, depending on where we are in our life, depends on when we make it. But again, it's a completion of baptism. It gives us what the disciples were given on Pentecost, the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Those gifts carry us through our life and allow us to live as believers of Jesus Christ. And we are given food for the journey. So, as I said, baptism once lasts forever. Confirmation once lasts forever. The effects are with us, mark us, seal us, and then Eucharist. We can go to Eucharist every day of our life, should we choose to go. Eucharist is food for the journey. Eucharist is Jesus, who comes to reside with you and me, to change us, to form us, to make us better followers of himself. And so sacraments are important. So you and I, as believers in Jesus and as good Catholics, engage in sacramental behavior. How would I say that would be? We go to Mass. We receive Eucharist. When we sin, we go to confession. We receive the other sacraments because there are 7 of them. So when we get married, we have the opportunity to receive the sacrament of holy matrimony. And when we have a vocational drive to become a priest, we can receive the sacrament of holy orders. All of us someday will come to the end of our life and will need to be anointed so that we are prepared again for the end of our life and our entry into heaven. All of those things are important. So during the sacrament season, participate. Pray for those making their sacraments. Reach out. I have a lot of new Catholics that would love to be involved in things at church, and I will be giving them those connections. But any interest in meeting some of our new Catholics, reach out to me. We have a great group of people who are faithful and who want to be a part of our church. So at the end of this week, forgive me, my reflection is late. It's been a long week, as it usually is. But let's say thank you to God for the sacraments. Pray for the little ones making First Communion this weekend. And thanks be to God for what Jesus has given you and me to keep us holy. Thanks be to God.